Hello, and welcome back to the 125th. Today we're going to be discussing a very exciting topic, and that is the air-to-ground attack missions. This is the bread and butter of this aircraft, and we'll be discussing the systems that are at play. We'll be introducing those to you, and how to operate these systems. So let's jump into the cockpit and start the demonstration. Okay, now that we're in the cockpit, let's go over some features that I'm going to be talking about, and that way you understand where they are. So let's zoom in on the throttle, and here if you read the labels, you'll see this manual range knob right here. This is the radar slewing cursor. This goes up and down and forward and back. And here on the controller, you zoom in a little bit more. This is your weapon release button, otherwise known as the pickle button. This, you can barely see it here, but it says the cannon, camera, or gun. That will be the trigger right in front of it. And right here you'll see the nose wheel steering and missile select button. It's actually on the other side right over here. Coming down to this hat switch right here, you have, this is what controls the TMS, and the TMS actually stands for Target Management System. You're going to be hearing me referring to TMS up, TMS down, and TMS left. What I'm going to be doing is moving this knob. TMS up would be up, TMS down, TMS left. So now you understand when I'll be going through those commands, that will be this knob right here. Another very important switch is this right here. This one controls the DMS, which is the Display Management System. This one, for this intended tutorial, mainly what we're going to use, actually the only mode we're going to use is DMS down, which will be this way. DMS down. And what that will do is it'll switch. You see this white outline right here? It'll switch the subject of interest, which this one would be the subject of interest because it's highlighted, to this side. This one becomes the subject of interest. So if we hit DMS down, it will do that. So now whatever I control with my throttle and my joystick, with the side stick controls, it will control the one that's highlighted. If I move over to the left, see where it says not subject of interest right there? That's because the cursor is on the other display. If I move it over again using DMS down, you see that goes away, and that becomes the subject of interest. That is a very important feature in what we're going to be doing just shortly. Now, while we're on the ground, we can actually go ahead and select air-to-ground mode. And now our systems here, the left and right MFDs, are going to change, including some symbology in the HUD, but since we're on the ground, this is not really going to change much. What we can do while we're on the ground, you can see that we have two GB-12s. Those are guided bomb units, number 12 model, which is basically a 500 pound dumb bomb, but it's been retrofitted with a directional control head, which will direct the bomb in the last 10 seconds of flight onto a projected laser that gets transmitted by the targeting pod. The targeting pod that's used on this airplane, it's called the Sniper Pod, and it's made by Lockheed Martin, which is actually the same manufacturer of this aircraft. That targeting pod is used with the F-15 Eagle, the F-18 Hornet, the B-1 Lancer bomber, the B-52, the A-10, and of course this plane, the F-16. It is extremely advanced. It's got a lot of capability. It's very, very stable, and it makes this current generation of bombing extremely, extremely accurate. Now, since we're in this mode, the type of bombing that we will do today using that sniper pod would be in the CCRP mode. Now, CCRP stands for Continuously Computed Release Point. And what that's going to do is we're going to be flying straight and level at a very high altitude. At about 20,000 feet is what I want to set it up to. But we'll be flying at around 20,000 feet for the sake of this demonstration. But we will be flying at a level flight. The computer is going to basically do the calculation and drop the bombs when it calculates that it should be released. And this is what that pickle button is so important at this moment, because this is what controls that. And this particular button, it doesn't drop the bombs once you hit it. You have to keep it pressed until the bombs release. So basically, it's not just a bomb to drop, it's mainly what's called a consent to release. By having this button pushed down, you're telling the computer, okay, I am ready to drop, you decide when to drop them. So that is an extremely, extremely effective in the bombing runs, because you hardly ever miss. So this shows you what you have selected as your weapon. Then here you have what's called the either the singles or pairs. So we have two bombs, two laser-guided bombs, but we have it set up here as one single. I can either have them drop as singles, or I can have them change over to drop as one pair. You can select back and forth. Now, if you select as single, one single, and you have two, you can have one single, but do a release of one. So basically, if you have one single and release of one, it'll just drop one. Now, if you change this to 2 and hit enter, now what's going to happen is it's going to drop 2 singles, but they're going to impact 175 feet apart. And this, you can actually go in here and change the feet of separation that you want to do. So now going back to 1, enter, and we're going to change this to pairs. So now we basically have everything that we want on the weapon to be set on the ground. That way we don't have to sit there and while we're flying we need to change anything. We've done it on the ground. and we really don't have to worry about it. So basically, when the bombs get released, it's going to be dropping both of them as a pair. Both of them will release together. So now that we have that set, two other things that are very important. You have to make sure that the laser is armed. And once we're in the air, we'll need to set the master arm switch to on. We'll turn it off for now. And we're going to go ahead and switch back to, by hitting air to ground mode again, we'll go back to the default, which is our navigation page. So now let's get in the air, and we'll go and do we'll run some more examples. Make sure that your nose wheel steering is turned on. That is done by that switch that's right there on the other side of the stick, nose wheel steering enable. If you hit that switch, it'll turn off, turn on. Okay, now we're at runway 18. Okay, increasing throttle. Turn off nose wheel steering. Now we're just basically using our rudder to make corrections. We're over 200 knots. We lift up. Gear goes up. This little marker here, I'm turning until that little pointer is pointing forward. Okay, This right here is our GBU-12, our laser-guided bomb. That is heavy turbulence right now. That is basically it's a 500-pound bomb. That's your regular 500-pound bomb right there, with winglets and a steering module that detects. So this module houses the laser guidance system, and like I said before, it'll activate and steer the bomb about 10 seconds from hitting the target. So what we're going to do now is we're going to climb to 20,000 feet. There's a lot of turbulence here today. Dropping down altitude. And that's close enough. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll set our autopilot on, pitch hold, and steering select. So now we're at 20,000 feet, flying towards this diamond, which is our next steer point number 2. That little bug with the little line is now aligned with our flight path marker. Flying at 300 knots, 20,000 feet. Heading north. This right here tells me that I am 58 miles from steer point 2. I am in the nav mode. Okay, let's check our distance here. Let's move. This is what you use to select your steer point. So let's see what our distance is. Our target is a bridge, and that bridge is located right on the demilitarized zone, right on that edge of the buffer zone, right on the border of North Korea. There has been reports of a convoy that is going to be using that bridge to cross over, and it is our job to get rid of that bridge. So what we're going to do is, I want to check, we are at 47 miles. I want to check and see what is the actual distance to steer point 5, which is where our target is. It is 70 miles away. We'll leave it at steer point 5 since it's not really that much different from the steer point 2. And where that diamond is basically where our target is. And if we increase our range on our horizontal situation display, you can see that our target is right there. So with that said, let's go ahead and switch over to our targeting pod. Select air to ground mode. We come back. Now we can see our ground radar, and it's selected by default as GM, which is ground map. Now, since we already selected how our weapons are going to release, we really don't need this page anymore. So what we'll do is we go hit SMS, and then we'll move over to targeting pod. Now, by default, it's going to be on standby mode. So what you need to do is hit standby, and we're going to use it as the air to ground mode. Now, what you're seeing here is an infrared image that's locked into or tied to this cursor right here on the radar. This is telling me the range, 291.4. That's because it's reading straight out. This L right here is telling me that the laser is armed, which we turned it on. And it is ready to track. Now, once you hit this mode, you're going to have this line come up. And what this line does is your cue. This is your cue where your aircraft needs to be flying in order for those bombs to release and drop straight down towards the ground. If this line is off to one side, that means your plane's flying off course and your bombs might not hit if they're off to the sides too much. And sometimes if it's way off, like over here somewhere, if you're holding the release button, the pickle button, the computer will not release it because it knows that it's not going to hit it. It's kind of like a failsafe. Okay, so we'll still need a ways to go. So what we'll do is we're going to have a brief demonstration of what this Lockheed Martin sniper pod can actually do. And this video that will be presented now is from courtesy of Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin's Sniper Advanced Targeting Pod provides superior target identification and detection from the longest standoff ranges of any pod in service today. Designed and manufactured by the most experienced fire control company in the world, the combat-proven Sniper Pod defeats threats for the U.S. Air Force and coalition partners across multiple platforms. The next-generation lightweight Sniper Pod provides an unrivaled aerial advantage in urban and strategic ground environments, on the high seas, and in air-to-air engagements.
It's amazing. I think it's rock solid.
Rock-steady stabilization and enhanced state-of-the-art image clarity permit real-time geolocation, single-pass target identification, multi-targeting, laser spot tracking, and accurate bomb damage assessment.
Boy, that picture is just awesome.
Precise targeting capabilities allow air crews to automatically track and identify high-speed targets with exceptional tracking tenacity, and promotes effective delivery of the latest J-Series munitions and precision-guided weaponry.
Well, that recovers pretty quick, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Superior features and extended range capability allow Sniper to operate well outside of jet noise ranges while maintaining exceptional situational awareness. The combat-proven Sniper Advanced Targeting Pod has repeatedly demonstrated it is the precision strike solution for mission success. Sniper's capabilities extend beyond the scope of traditional missions to include meeting the demands of non-traditional intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR. The pod records and transmits full-motion video in real time using a video data link, the VDL. With Sniper, air crews can identify weapon caches or individuals carrying armaments beyond hearing ranges and relay that information to ground troops for rapid combat response. A dual-mode laser permits eye-safe laser use and enhanced LGB guidance for urban combat and training. Sniper's ability to collect and share time-sensitive ISR data in a net-centric environment is further enhanced in Recce mode. Sniper's Recce mode automatically collects images from a predefined wide area of interest and provides a complete picture of the area for intelligence purposes. Built to plug and play, Sniper software automatically recognizes the host aircraft and its interface requirements. This enables air forces to move the pod across platforms without changing the aircraft software. Designed for true two-level maintenance, the Sniper pod's modular design is the key to its streamlined maintainability. Replacing any of the pod's 39 line replaceable units is quick, easy, and accurate, requiring only common hand tools and a laptop. Streamlined maintainability and exceptional field reliability ensure the Sniper pod's lifecycle costs are low. Designed and manufactured by the world's leading innovator of rotary and fixed-wing targeting systems, the Lockheed Martin Sniper Advanced Targeting Pod is combat-proven, highly effective for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations, lethal and survivable. The U.S. Air Force and allies agree. Sniper has established an international benchmark for next-generation electro-optical targeting performance, clearly changing the way air forces fight and meet their defining moments. At Lockheed Martin, we never forget who we're working for.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that video. It explained the functionality and versatility of the sniper pod. And now we're getting pretty close. We're at 20 miles out from our target. So what we're going to do is hit TMS up. And now we've selected the bridge on our MFD on our left hand side. Now what we'll do is we'll change the we've first got to turn on our master arm on, and what we'll do is we'll change the subject of interest using DMS down over to this MFD. Let's zoom in so that we can see better here. And here you can see a picture of our bridge. Now, it's kind of far away. You can barely see it, but if we change this wide view over to narrow view, you can now see the bridge. We hit TMS 1 again, and now you are locked. You see that it's guided by infrared imaging, and if you need to zoom in, you can use that range button on the throttle. You can actually zoom in even more on the target. For now, that's pretty good. And since we're pretty close on the target, we'll go ahead and we'll press and maintain a hold on that pickle button. If we need to do any adjustments, we can actually use our cursors that are located on the throttle to change the setting on the laser and the guidance unit. So as you can see, right here we got a ready symbol. Showing 10.6. Target is 10 miles away now. Zoom out just a little bit. And all this is being controlled by the throttle and the side stick controller. When the bombs release, you'll feel the aircraft kind of shake. And there it goes. Make sure the cursors are on the center of the bridge. That little white dot that is moving along the center of the crosshairs, that is an orientation of where that center of point is, and there they are. You can actually see those on the screen. When you saw that L flash, that means the laser, it was 10 seconds from impact, and the laser starts flashing because that means it's active. It turns on right before the 10 seconds before impact. And this little white line is basically telling you how far off the laser designator is off center from its axis. So it gives you an idea of where it's actually pointing. Now there's actually 3 modes to this. If you hit TMS left, as I explained before, it switches to where it says black is hot. That means whatever is black is the something that's generating or reflecting heat, which will be trees, it'll be the aircraft or vehicles or bridges or infrastructure, whatever it might be. If you switch it over again, it'll become white hot, which is the method mostly everybody uses. Is white is the hot object. It's easier to see. But there's also, if you change that, if you actually hit this button, you now have what's called the TV mode. And the TV mode is basically just like a regular camera. But it's very difficult to use. It's difficult to see. If the weather's really bad, you can't make out what it is using this method, the white hot. It actually uses infrared imagery, so that if it's foggy or cloudy or raining really bad or low visibility, whatever the case may be, you now have a all-weather capability of finding and acquiring your target, which is incredible. There's your wide view. You can still use your zoom feature in wide view as well. Going back to nav mode, let's go ahead and switch to steer point 1 to go back home. So if we come over here, right underneath the pilot, right next to the intake, the engine intake, is the sniper pod. It's that little pod that's got that little wedge shaped on it. That is what designates and has the laser designator and the camera unit built into it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. That is basically, like I said before, the bread and butter mission of the F-16, which is precise bombing. The units that are actually mounted on the airplane right now in this particular setting, those green bombs with the yellow stripe on them, those are, in case you were wondering, those are the GBU-87 CEMs, which are the combined explosive munition. There's basically 3 different types of explosive in them. They're cluster bombs. It'll work for anti-personnel and anti-vehicle. It's kind of a general purpose. It's not the best for vehicles, and it's not the best for personnel. But if you have to carry like one, then that's kind of like the best of both worlds. So it's kind of a general purpose use cluster bomb, which is very, very effective. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was very informative. I'll be preparing the next one short. And thank you for joining us on this again and this little adventure of ours. And see you soon.